Welcome to Narrow Ground Entertainment. I'm Steve the Unimpressed, and this is Steve Solo's Minecraft episode 20. In this episode, I am actually going to continue investigating, I suppose, buried treasure. Because last episode, and editing the last episode, got me a little bit curious about exactly how reliable that mechanic is. So I'm going to continue trying to find more buried treasure maps to see if I can locate even more buried treasures. Before I do that, I am going to, well, first of all, disgorge some of my inventory clutter, because, well, inventory clutter is a little bit annoying. But also, I am going to gather up the things that I need to make myself a book and quill. I don't think that I've made one of those already in this series, but I have the uncomfortable feeling that I am forgetting something. And that is making me wonder if I have actually done this before and just forgot where I put it. Either way, let me grab an ink sac and a feather. And I keep my books upstairs near the bed with the enchanting stuff. And if I have a book and quill, this is probably where it would be. There isn't one in here, so. Nor is there one over here with all the enchanted equipment. I think it's safe to assume that I haven't made a book and quill in this game world before, but I don't know. If I did, I lost it. The reason I want to make such a thing is to make it easier for me to record the coordinates, or the locations of stuff that I find in the game. So I can open up the book and type, well, anything in it. I can type random gibberish by smashing the keys like that, or I can write out what I found and where I found it. So if I wind up discovering way more ruins or shipwrecks than I find buried treasures, this will let me keep track of those locations so that I can come back to them and inspect them later. Which, since the whole goal of this is to test whether or not the buried treasure maps will generate different treasure locations after you have dug up a particular buried treasure, will be useful, because I may well find more sunken ruins that are likely to contain a new treasure map on the way to searching for the buried treasures that I already have maps indicating. And I'll need to find my way back to those. I'm going to return to roughly the center of this map where the sunken ruins that I was exploring in the last episode are, because there is at least one more chest in that village. And if I look in that, I may well find that I can get a new buried treasure map right away at the beginning of the episode. So I'll be able to test whether or not it points to one of the ones I've already found. We are back at the location of that first buried treasure that I found, and as you can see, I did, as I said I was going to do, I came back and fixed this place up a little bit when I was done recording, so it doesn't look totally destroyed like it did before. Did I leave anything in this chest that is going to be useful to me right now? No, not really. Just some junk. I can stay there then. Let's get over to this village. Or, not village, but sunken ruins. Sunken village. I think I did this one already. I don't think I did this one yet. Hey. Oh, there's a chest. It's empty. Maybe I did do this one already. Maybe I'm gonna drown. Nope, no drowning. Sun's going down, though. Broke a hole in the roof of this house to make it a little more accessible. Let's dig out all the sand and the gravel in here. Hey, I can actually breathe in here now. This building turned out to be a little more extensive than I was really expecting it to be, and I nearly drowned myself in it several times. But I still found no treasure chests in there. I see I did break a stalk of kelp by accident. We'll just collect that up. So that leaves the buildings that generated actually on land. But I'm not going to go into those right away because it is night and I'm going to have to deal with skeletons and possibly creepers and other such nonsense. While I'm waiting for the moon to set, I'm going to go ahead and record the coordinates of this place in my book. I'm going to leave a line for a name because I can't really think of a good name for this place right now. Second line is going to be first sunken village, because it's the first one I found. Line 3 will be the coordinates, minus 150. I'll put the y coordinate in there as well, 66, 325. Do I really need to put the y coordinate for stuff that's on the surface? Probably not, but I will probably use this book to record stuff I find that isn't on the surface as well. And for that stuff, I probably will want to know the y coordinate. And then discovered in episode 19. For stuff that I discover in footage that I'm intending to use, I think I will put the episode that footage goes with. For stuff that I discover and record in this book when I'm not filming, I will probably just put the date. Or maybe I'll put the date for both. In fact, let's put the date for both. Discovered in episode 19, which I recorded on December 5th, 2020, I think. Pretty sure I recorded it that day. That was last Saturday. If not, close enough. When you're exiting these books, use the Done button if you intend to put anything else in this book. The Sign button, I forget if it tries to stop you or not, so I'm not going to click it right now, just in case it is a one-click thing. The Sign button will mark it completed, and you won't be able to edit it anymore. You'll still be able to read it, but you won't be able to edit it. You break the quill and throw it away, apparently, and then it's just a written book. So, for now we are done. We've recorded the coordinates of this village. Might have to go out and record the coordinates of that monument or whatever it was that we discovered in the last episode as well. Sun's coming up. I know that both of these buildings that are on shore here have chests in them. I just didn't bother retrieving those yet because, you know, they're easy to get to, so I figured I'd save them. There are magma blocks on the floor in here, which is a little annoying. Any chance there are multiple chests in this building? Doesn't look like it. But let's see what's in this one. Alright. Fishing rod, more wheat, more coal. I'm going to go ahead and break that and take the chest with me. What about this one? Let's see if we get a treasure map in here. As soon as I figure out a way into here. There we go. Ah, nothing in this one either. Found a stone axe. Well, not nothing, but nothing I was looking for. Let's put it that way. The fishing rod with Curse of Vanishing is absolutely useless. I don't think you can even use those in the grindstone to recover experience. Here's another structure underwater that I actually didn't notice earlier. Very filled in. But there might be a chest in that one too, so let's check on that before we go running off. Okay, got myself an air pocket. Do I have a torch? Yes. Put one of those up so I can see. Oh hey, and I'm standing on a treasure chest. I also hear a ton of skeletons down there. Let's see if we can figure out what that's all about. There we go. That's what all the racket's about. There's a spawner of some kind down here. It's very noisy. I'm actually gonna go ahead and turn the monster sound down. Where do I have my sounds? Hostile creatures, let's put that down to 10% like I did when I was working on that spawner. Okay, that's a little better. Now, what kind of spawner is this? I can't see around all these monsters. Looks like skeleton. No, it must be a zombie spawner. With that much zombie noise, almost has to be a zombie spawner. The only way to find out entirely for sure, though, is going to be to dig down at the proper angle and not, you know, fall in amongst them to where we can see. There's one of the walls. There we go. Oop. Creeper is interested. Yep, definitely a zombie spawner. Okay. Let's light this up. Okay, I hear a witch down there, but I don't feel the need to investigate that. Let's check the dungeon loot. Mostly this is probably going to be monster drops, but you can occasionally find some very valuable things in dungeon loot. Bread is not one of those things. Nothing that special in this case. A couple of free buckets. And some iron ingots, but I think most of the rest of this I'm actually going to leave here. Redstone is useful, but I don't need 2 of them. Definitely don't need those skeletons' half-broken bows. Now, this is exactly the kind of thing that I would like to record the coordinates of, and I would like to include the y-coordinate. But before I do that, I kind of want to record that little monument. Well, not monument, because there's something called an ocean monument, and that wasn't it. That little sunken pillar, or whatever it was, that I found in the last episode. So I think I am going to go out and note down the coordinates of that before I write down the coordinates of this. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now, let's see about recording the coordinates of this thing. Zombie, spawner, minus 152, 47, 336. Right under the coordinate I recorded for the sunken village, basically. Discovered episode 20, and next line is going to have to be on the next page. December 12, 2020. There. Now I know where this is. In this case, I probably would have been able to find my way back to it regardless, but better safe than sorry. Now, with that chore taken care of, let's see what was in this chest that I actually found in this house, which was what I came here looking for. Hey, this one has a buried treasure map. The question will be, is it a new one or not? Let's find out. Not. That is interesting. This one shows the buried treasure that is right near this sunken village, which we know we have already found. So even if you have already found a particular buried treasure, you may still get a map that leads to it, no matter how carefully you try to prevent it. What is kind of interesting to note there is that buried treasure map number 2, which was the one that shows the treasure that's right next to my chicken pens. Really? Wandering trader spawned here? Well, okay. As I was saying, The treasure map that shows the treasure that was right next to my chicken pens was the one that spawned out at that little sunken pillar. So it could be that they have tweaked how the system for generating these works so that each location that generates buried treasure maps will at least try to generate a different one. It's a little hard to say exactly how the generation for that stuff works. It's possible that somebody has already explored this thoroughly and has put it on the wiki, but I figured it was more fun to try and explore it myself, and it gave me an excuse to continue swimming around in the ocean exploring. Which actually has not been a fruitless endeavor, and I will show you why. As I was swimming out to that sunken pillar to note down its coordinates, I swam near this dark lump on the ocean floor, and I swam up closer to it to see what it was. And as it turned out, it was a shipwreck, which is what I was out here looking for in the first place. It's actually only part of a shipwreck. It is the back half, and I think when these spawn like this, there's at least a chance that another half will spawn further on in the, like, if you have the rear half here, the front half will be somewhere in front of it. I have not gone to check and see if that is the case for this one yet, and I'm not sure if I'm going to. Probably wouldn't take us that long to jump over to the other side of this island and check. But more importantly right now, I'm going to come in here and look at the chests that are inside. A lot of iron, even more iron nuggets, and a diamond. I'm about to start drowning, as is now basically traditional. Almost out of food and I have to go home. There's another chest right here. And this one has a buried treasure map also, along with a bunch of paper. So now let's swim back out to the surface and see where it is a treasure map of. Yep, this one is once again the same one that was under the dark oaks. So we now have 3 treasure maps that point to that one treasure. But it's good to know that that's how this works. At some point I will have to jump onto an online mapping tool someplace and see if I can discover whether those 2 buried treasures are the only ones that are likely to have generated in the area, or if there are more close by that the maps just aren't pointing to. If there is a front half of this shipwreck somewhere nearby, I have completely failed to locate it, and I'm giving up. I'm just going to write down the coordinates of this one in my book, which fortunately opening the book pauses the game, so I'm not going to start drowning down here. First shipwreck. Well, I forgot to open the debug screen so that I can see the coordinates. There we go. 10, well, the y coordinate isn't actually 62, but that's going to be close enough. 10, 62, 271. Y coordinate isn't nearly as important when the thing actually is, in fact, on the surface. There. Now that I know that these 3 treasure maps are the same, I am going to see if I can fill in the entire map, and then, since I am out of food, I'm going to head back home. Well, the maps are filled in, and it is once again nightfall, so I'm going to head off towards home. My experiments with buried treasure and buried treasure maps this episode were not nearly as successful as last time. Last time I found 2 buried treasures. This time I didn't even find a map to a new one. That's the way things go sometimes, though. See you back at the house. I agree with the villager. What I have done here is I have decided, since these 2 buried treasure maps are actually completed maps, I am going to hang them on the wall. But what I have found when I did that is that the one is not right underneath the other like I had originally assumed. Actually, now that I think about it, that should have been fairly obvious. I'm not entirely sure. Let me check what our coordinates are here versus the ones that I wrote down in the book. I'm not sure if this bottom map should be one space lower or if it should be off to one of the sides. And looking at the Z coordinate should, tell me that. I have left or right clicked and that rotated it instead of opening my book for me. My current Z coordinate is -213. These are our sunken village notes, and the zombie spawner position are pretty close to our current X coordinate. In the Z coordinate, our sunken village is much further south than where we are now. We're at -213 in the Z coordinate, which is north of 0. And the sunken village is at 325 Z, which is significantly further south than where my house is. So there is actually one more map in between these. And if I wanted to do this properly, that would be there. So now what I could do, and what I maybe will do in the next episode, is your first map is always at this scale 0. If you have advanced tooltips turned on, level 0 of 4, that's where you start. These buried treasure maps are at level 1 of 4, which means they've been zoomed out once. So I'd have to make one of these just a little bit further south so that it would be in this area, and zoom it out once, and I would get this map, and then I could hang it on the wall in between them. Maybe I'll do that in the next episode, maybe I won't. Once I start mapping, it never stops. And you can kind of see from the way I have the item frames laid out here, how it can quickly get out of control if you're too much of a completionist. I'll start thinking, oh, I've got these 2 buried treasure maps, but I don't have the map that would go right between them to make it look like a complete picture. So I'll go and make that map. And then I'll think, oh, I don't have my island or my bay that's right in this area on this map. So then I'll go and make this map. And then I'll make these 2 just so that it's an even area. And then I'll decide that I want something else in it, and it'll just keep expanding and expanding until I've got tons and tons of maps, which I will almost inevitably do in this series, but I'm not going to do that until I have somewhere to put them. Or rather, I'm going to try to resist doing that until I have somewhere to put them. So for now, let's just back slowly away from the maps. In fact, let's turn around and go upstairs so that I stop looking at them and hopefully forget that they are there. Yeah, right. I'm going to stow these extra 2 of that same buried treasure in this chest up here until I decide on something to do with them. Since they're duplicates, I probably could just throw them away, but I probably won't. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel to see more content from me, and if you'd like to help my channel grow, please share it with your friends. Goodbye and God bless.